Hello and welcome back. I'm Askar Sherliyev and you're watching the news from Kazakhstan. The arrest of Vladimir Kozlov, the leader of the political party Alga, pending registration, has been extended by another month. The decision was made by the judge of the Almaty-Almala District Court, Gulshahar Chinibekova. The judge also asked all media to leave the courtroom and stop all recordings. Defense attorney Alexei Plugov intends to appeal the ruling in the city court.
The extension of the arrest was explained by expert examinations which do not supposedly allow completing the investigation within 4 months from the date of arrests. The defendant himself was not brought to the courtroom. The location of Vladimir Kozlov is unknown even to his wife. When the judge was passing the sentence, she misread the date 3 times. Instead of June 23rd, she read July 23rd. Vladimir Kozlov, the leader of the party Alga, was arrested on January 23rd this year upon the search of his house.
1 hour before the ruling was made in the Almaty court, the building of the National Security Committee was picketed by the poetess Aysulu Kaderbayeva. With the action, Kaderbayeva expressed her support to Alga party leader Vladimir Kozlov, public figure Serik Sapargali, and Khalyk Maydani activist Sayjangul Amirova. As many other protesters, the women demanded the immediate release of public activists and withdrawal of all the unlawful accusations against them. The support of the strike of oil workers in Zhanaozen was construed as incitement of social hatred. The protest was attended by journalists, and in the end, the police did not detain the women. Of course, they have been unlawfully detained. This shows that the trial in Zhanaozen is soon to be over, and it proves the innocence of the defendants which were not involved with the unrest. I demand for them to be released. Early on Friday, the prosecution in the case of 37 oil workers introduced a new witness. Defense attorneys objected the testimony since the witness testified under alias via Skype and failed to produce coherent answers.
The man introduced himself as Kontuar Berdiaman. Both attorneys and prosecutors gave him several critical remarks. The plaintiff's party had requested the man not to read a statement off the paper, but express his thoughts freely. The witness said he was employed by Khalyk Yashmanov, the former director of Azyanmunay industrial branch. During the riots, he visited Yashmanov at his house. However, when listing those who allegedly set Yashmanov's house on fire, he began to confuse the names. Attorney Aylbiv requested to ignore the answers of an anonymous witness. Another attorney, Venera Sarsenbina, suggested that the written testimony was prepared for the witness by a third party. Even the prosecutor himself told the witness not to read off the paper and speak his own words. It is evident that there is someone behind him, observing and telling him what to say. I believe it is the police officers who are involved in the investigation. Who else could it be? This is our opinion.
The arguments hearing during the trial over Shetpeti's orders was finished on Friday. The announcement of the verdict to 12 defendants is expected on May 21st. At the hearing, the prosecutor asked to sentence the accused to different terms ranging from 3 to 9 years. The defendants disagree with the prosecutor, saying the process failed to prove their involvement in the disorders. The most severe sentence of 9 years in prison is requested for Kazhimurat Awizov, whose lawyer says the prosecution lacks any evidence to warrant such a strict verdict.
This man doesn't have any proof. The prosecutor who talked to the court was also involved in the indictment. The 4 photos identified by the witness Altayeva were all marked. The only way to make it more obvious was if they used arrows there. Needless to say, according to the Code of Criminal Procedure, it is required to receive a written statement before conducting the identification. Who's the person? What does he look like? What was he wearing? He couldn't answer any of those questions, yet he claims that he saw him. However, no details were provided. To recap, the defendants are accused of organizing riots, deliberate destruction of transport and communication lines, and resisting the authorities at Shetpe station. 8 years are requested for Mambetov, 7 for Sabarbayev, 6 for Kasim Yermukhanali, and 3 years for the rest. Attorney Bigali Seitmagambetov believes there is a hidden political motive behind the trial. Was it a matter of ordinary case, the defendants would be acquitted. There is an apparent political interference. Therefore, it is not easy for the court to acquit all of them at once. I believe they all would have been acquitted if this was an ordinary criminal trial.
On Friday, the court listened to the testimonies of witnesses on the case of police officers who abused office during the Zhanaozen riots. All of the witnesses gave identical answers to the questions asked.
Testimonies of policemen who dispersed demonstrators all sounded rehearsed. The officers never explained to court who exactly gave order to open fire and just said there were life-threatening circumstances. Witnesses kept confounding these testimonies, and some even named Tuchgaliyev, the former deputy chief of the Mangistau regional DIA, as the one giving orders. Other names were mentioned as well. This caused visible tension between witnesses and defendants. Perhaps for this reason, the judge suspended the hearing twice. Everything goes as planned. Have you noticed how the prosecutor repeatedly asked all defendants the same question and the answers were all the same? There is no difference. This was all planned. They should have asked the details to clarify the circumstances. The death of 16 people is a great tragedy, people's tragedy. After all, it's a crime not only against certain individuals, but the crime of the state against its people. Meanwhile, the trial and all related materials are under strict control. Previously, media coverage was allowed under several conditions, whereas now it is completely restricted. Journalists can follow the hearing from the press center but cannot record anything, including defendants' sound bites. The reason for the ban is not clear, but one thing is obvious: the number of media outlets covering the trials of Zhanaozian and Shetpe riots is decreasing.
Public interest in the Zhanaozian trial is decreasing despite its significance. On March 27th, during the first day of hearings, the proceedings were attended by representatives of most human rights organizations and media outlets represented in Kazakhstan, whereas on Friday, you could count them on the fingers of one hand. Blogger and independent journalist Andrei Tsukanov, chief editor of Jas Alash newspaper Respek Sarsanbayev, a British consulate representative, and Stan TV reporters. A small group of observers attended the hearing in Shetpe village as well. In general, for a long time now, all hearings are attended by members of oppositional media only. Pro-government outlets such as Khabar, Kazakhstan, etc. have not been here for a long time. Thus, many citizens of Kazakhstan do not receive any information about these cases and court hearings. The hearings on both cases of oil workers and the police are covered fully by only two outlets, the Golos Respubliki website and Radio Azattyk, while Stan TV provides video for K+ through a partnership agreement. Some information is also available on the website guljan.org. All other media, according to independent journalist Vadim Boreyko, have been banned from covering the news inconvenient for the government. I am sure that media leadership has been given a warning not to cover the cases, even though the events unfolding there are unbelievable. I am horrified to read how people were hanged by their hair, their ears stapled and fingers broken in police stations. In fact, we are now having our own Kazakhstani Nuremberg trial involving the police, and the journalists of other media seem not to be paying attention at all. News editor of state TV channel Khabar, Irina Malikova, said in a phone interview that the channel does cover the Zhanaozian trial. However, the last story by the state media on the topic found on social networks dates back to April 4th. Anna Shabaldina, the news editor of KTK, arguably the most popular channel in Kazakhstan, said the trial is not relevant when asked why the channel ignores it. The president of press advocacy organization Journalists in Trouble does not see this behavior as strange, saying that state-owned TV reporters have stopped performing their professional duties long ago and turned into a service organization. The main reason to blame is the fear of losing a well-paid position and being punished for reporting the truth. Everything in the country is misunderstood. Everything has been turned upside down. The authorities are not looking for those guilty, but for those who are raising issues, who are loudly and publicly talking about corruption, as well as good and bad things happening in the country. Of course, those are mostly bad things. The legislation on mass media began to tighten as early as mid-1990s. Today, journalists can be jailed for libel, which actually has no statutory limitations, or be slapped with multi-million-dollar suits. The procedure for that is quite simple. As for independent media, remember what President Nazarbayev said in the early 2000s, and still seem to strongly believe so. Independent media are called independent because nothing depends on them.
Astana oppositionists asked the city authorities to install a monument dedicated to Zheltoksan events. On Friday, activists called a press conference where they presented a letter to the city mayor Imangalitas Magambetov asking for 1 hectare of land for the construction. The monument itself will reflect on two historic events, the uprising in 1986 and the recent riots of December 2011. The installation of the monument will ease the tension in the population, say opposition members.
If the authorities fail to show support, then it means that they have not learned the lesson. It means this way only another campaign to suppress the dissent and civil initiative. This proves once again that our government will never accept democracy. Public activists say that they have managed to find a sponsor who is willing to pay for construction of a monument. However, the initiators of the monument erection believe the authorities will try to create obstacles in their way. They say the officials are against any type of reminder of the political regime crisis. Nevertheless, they are still quite determined. Not a single regime would approve of a monument to its dissenter. We will follow through to make sure the Zhanozyan 2011 monument is erected. Sooner or later, under these or other authorities, the monument will be there.
On Friday, citizens of Kazakhstan who are currently residing in Moscow presented Russian oppositionists rallying next to the monument to Kazakh poet Abay Kunanbayev with borsaks, the national pastry dish.
Opposition activists in Moscow who have been camping for several days near the monument gladly received a gift from the poet's homeland. The Twitter photos uploaded by users from Ilya Yashin, a famous opposition leader from Moscow, tasting national Kazakh dishes.
In the meantime, Abay Kunanbayev suddenly and unexpectedly became the symbol of the Russian opposition. Occupy Abay is still one of the strongest trends in the Russian Twitter segment. A special Occupy Abay website was set up to collect information about Moscow protest action as well as the data about Kazakh poet and philosopher.
Occupy Abay is trending on Twitter in Russia, while the location of the monument to the great Kazakh philosopher at Moscow's Chistые prudy has become a regular gathering place for Russian opposition. As the internet joke goes, from unknown Kazakh, tweeted by blogger Navalny, to Occupy Abay, top trend, lies the Abay's Way, the title of a well-known novel about the poet. Now the internet community is writing a new novel. They include quotes from Abay's words of wisdom and folklore.
Окупай Абай, если хочешь быть свободным, приходи давай. Окупай Абай, сделай дело для страны, не зевай. Окупай Абай, окупай Абай.
The Almaty monument also had a chance to become a center of peaceful actions, not persecuted protests. Several months ago, designer Roman Akhmedov proposed via Facebook to organize literary readings near the Abay monument. The Almaty resident borrowed the idea from the past. In the 1960s Soviet Union Moscow, students protested this way near Mayakovsky monument. The modern discordant could discuss their concerns this way as well, Roman believed. However, the organizers of Kazakhstan protests were very critical of the proposal. Even in Moscow, there are actions devoted to Abay, and here no one supported this idea. When I found out that they have such rallies in Moscow and that young people come to Abay monument, that something has changed there in Russia, I was very glad to hear the news, and at the same time I was sad that here in Kazakhstan no one supported the proposal. The idea is indeed good, but we have a problem with the opposition itself. It is headed by wrong people. The unexpected popularity of Abay beyond Kazakhstan pleased Murat Awezov, a cultural studies scholar. Half a century ago, his father, the famous poet Mukhtar Awezov, published the two-volume Abay's Way, now a school textbook. As the scholar recalls, Abay was a known freethinker, and the fact that his monument is chosen as a location for expression of public concerns cannot be a simple coincidence. For me, for example, Navalny's words that he's indeed a cool dude have raised my opinion of Navalny. I had studied in Moscow for 10 years, and now I am hearing about their march to Chistые prudy. Some people think this is too light of a treatment for Abay, but no, the Muscovites are in for a long haul, a dramatic and long period in their history. They have intuition and feelings. They can untie the tough knots around themselves, finding base and higher values, and Abay in this sense is for those who come and follow. I think there will be a lot of people there who will be wearing t-shirts with Abay's portraits, but I believe Abay to be more powerful than Che Guevara. Meanwhile, Russian oppositional activity has not yet spilled over to Kazakhstan. So far, the only thing uniting the two states in civic expression is Twitter, and Occupy Abay hashtag is still beating records in terms of linking and referencing.
The first Kazakhstan astronaut and former oppositionist Tokhtar Aubakirov has been appointed the advisor to the president of the national rail carrier Kazakhstan Timur Zhily.
On Friday, Aubakirov was presented by Askar Mamin, the company's president. To recap, Tokhtar Aubakirov recently left the oppositional Social Democratic Party Azad. He made an official announcement regarding his walkout on the state TV channel Khabar. Aubakirov pointed out that he was disappointed in the strategy pursued by the party. Kazakh Railways is a national company entirely owned by the state and represented by Samruk-Kazana Fund.
Timur Kulibayev, the son-in-law of the Kazakhstan president Nursultan Nazarbayev, is once again accused of corruption. This time he is said to accept bribes from Italian oil major Eni. Corriere della Sera reported that Agip subsidiary commissioner asked for the ban on the organization of Eni in Kazakhstan since the $20 million allocated for the enterprise's development in the country went straight to Kulibayev's pocket.
The publication notes that the case is now on the agenda of the Italian prosecutor's office. If oil money cuts are confirmed, the Milan court might ban Yeni from signing contracts on the exploration of Kashagan, a major oil deposit in Kazakhstan. Besides Eni, the project also involves Kazmunaygas subsidiary Kashagan BV, as well as Total, ExxonMobil, ConocoPhillips and Inpex. The newspaper notes, with reference to the prosecution office, that since 2007, $20 million have been allocated to implement investment projects in Kazakhstan. According to the newspaper, all of this money landed in Kulibayev's pockets. It is worth noting that this is not the first time when the president's son-in-law is accused of corruption. A class action lawsuit accused Kulibayev of laundering 500,000 euros has been initiated in Switzerland. The head of the country, Nazarbayev, is also a target of this investigation. The complainants, those names are kept secret, are accusing the president of embezzling around 330 million euros, as well as 100 million made from the sale of Khabar TV company.
The international scandal involving Kazakh officials and Italian oil companies will not have any effect on the development of Kashagan project. The information was revealed today by the Oil and Gas Ministry Executive Secretary Kanatbek Safinov. At the same time, the official says the publications in the Italian press might be nothing but stovepiping to damage company's reputation, while the corruption accusations are actually a part of the struggle to win operator rights at the largest oil and gas deposit.
First of all, I'm not aware of this information. Secondly, the internal struggle for operating rights inside Kashagan have been going on for a long time already. This is not the first attempt to replace the operator. There are many groups there, including international ones, who are trying to change the operator. That's why they disseminate a lot of information. All those letters and statements need to be considered only if they were approved in court.
The position of Kazakhmys Group board chair is now vacant. Vladimir Kim officially declared he is ready to relegate his authority to an independent board chairman. The website of the company says the position must be filled until the next annual shareholders meeting. At the same time, Kim is said to continue his involvement with the Kazakhmys Group of companies, assuming CEO duties. More importantly, the ex-chairman is not planning on selling his share in the company.
For about 20 years, my career has been linked to Kazakhmys. Much has been achieved within this period. The company is now represented at London, Kazakh, and Hong Kong stock exchanges. It has provided financing and began the implementation of major development projects. This is a good time for the independent board chairman to come on board. The information regarding Kim's intention to leave his post on May 2013 first appeared last month, but now it looks like he is actually rushing to resign. Forbes ranks Vladimir Kim as one of the richest people on the planet, placing him 314th for 2012, with $3.5 billion in assets. The number was even more impressive last year at $4.7 billion. At the same time, the staff of Kazakhmys have repeatedly held, and in some cases are still holding, protest actions demanding to raise wages. According to economist Kanat Berintayev, the latest strike on May 5th was perhaps the reason for changes in management, although the analyst doubts that the new team will change the company's state of things for the better. Even if the new team takes over, it will be merely informal, as the main stockholders will remain in power. Any team will have to fulfill the orders of the current stockholders. The new team will not be able to make drastic changes in the company's policy.
The trial of the Kazkommerce bank robbery has finished in Shymkent. 17 accomplices, including former bank employees, were sentenced to different terms from 3 to 6.5 years in prison.
One of them, Bayzak Baykasumov, was sentenced to 5 years. Managers Konstantin Voyevodin and Shimirkhan Narbayev each received a 4.5-year sentence and were banned from work in the banking sector. The trial lasted for more than half a year. According to investigation, the accused issued non-performing loans in collusion with credit recipients. The bank lost $5 million as a result of the shady deals. It was also reported that property as collateral did not exist in reality, only in documents. Many of the accused disagree with the court's verdict. Only one of the defendants received a suspended sentence. The rest will do their time behind bars. The 4 women were found guilty under Article 72, although they have several underage children depending on them. Many of the defendants do not agree with the court's decision. They have submitted an appeal, and the case is going to be addressed in the body of appeals.
The International Museums at Night 2012 event will take place in Kazakhstan as well on May 18th. The goal of the action is to involve as many people as possible in cultural events across the globe. In Almaty city, museums will remain open from 5 p.m. till midnight. At the same time, the staff of the largest Almaty museum complains that the event is not supported by the state in any way or form.
Unfortunately, we didn't awaken the echo in the hearts of city authorities, or we didn't get any support from city authorities. We have organized this for 7 times already, and unfortunately, this initiative is only backed by the Central State Museum. Although we have over 30 museums in Almaty, and all of them could support the initiative, it is one thing to arrange a promo action for one museum. It is quite a different thing to arrange promo actions involving the city authorities and the rest of the museums. They simply organize single exhibitions and events. The Museums at Night 2012 was preceded by a presentation of an exclusive antiques catalog. It includes rare restored jewelry, household items, and arms from Central Asia and Kazakhstan. One of the creators noted that a lot of work went into the preparation and publishing of the book, which was released in 3 languages. The catalog corresponds to top international standards. There hasn't been a similar publication released across the former Soviet Union, which would provide such a deep insight into the era. We are now ahead of the others. This is great work, and all of the museums under our foundation will now be cataloged and the information saved in electronic form.
Employees of Astana museums have created a professional association which aims to set up improved relationships between culture organizations in the city and will develop a program to increase the number of guests and visitors.
During the latest meeting on development in Astana, the president criticized officials because city residents rarely attend cultural sites of the capital. Nursultan Nazarbayev encouraged city authorities to organize interesting exhibitions and bring world art masterpieces to Astana. At the same time, museum workers do not believe they have any problems with visitors, although they do ask journalists to provide better media coverage for their events. The museums do not receive extra money for promotion, and that is the reason why city dwellers are not aware of most events. The Museums at Night event on May 18th is expected to bring a bigger crowd than usual. The security on the night will be top-notch, say culture authorities. For instance, the Museum of Gold and Precious Metals alone has spent over $30,000 on special devices. Don't believe what they show you in the movies. I've seen one, where thieves attempted to steal our golden man. We have tried to force it open and tested the alarm system. It works perfectly. Every showcase is equipped with a signal system now.
The first Kazakhstan's Museum on Wheels was introduced in Pavlodar. The unusual gallery was opened on Friday in a regular city tram.
The Museum on Wheels has embarked on its first route with songs and entertainment. The passengers in a small gallery were met by workers from Tramway Depot, all dressed in national Kazakh costumes. This way, Pavlodar Tramway Depot congratulated the staff of the Buar-Zharo Museum, which celebrates its 20th anniversary this year. The exhibits were in line with the celebration. City residents were pleasantly surprised when entering carriages, and all of the passengers appreciated the gift of the transport operator. I would love to see this more often. It's the first time I'm seeing a tram like this. It should be arranged at least once a year. Everyone should know prominent Kazakh people who enlightened others.
This is all we have time for now. Join us on Monday for Vlast KZ. The news from Kazakhstan will return on Tuesday. Thank you for watching. Have a great weekend and goodbye.